It's Sunday morning. Welcome to Breakfast with the Boys at All Lacrosse Live. I'm Gary Groob at the corner of Walk and Don't Walk in Midtown Toronto. And with me, of course, as always, Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw. How are you, Shawn?
I'm awake, Gary. Thanks.
Awake is a good thing. I'm still working on that one. But I have Muffler Mike over in Connecticut. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great.
Excellent. Mike's the awake one of the bunch of us today. Great busy week, guys, on every single little bit of lacrosse that we know. Everybody has been romping around. Hey, thank you, Adam. Thank you. Great to have you with us. But yeah, it's been a busy time. I was at the McDougall thing last night. We've been talking about that for last month. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And of course, busy times heading into the playoffs for junior, almost into playoffs for Ontario Series. MSL is coming to the end of it. WLA is heating up. So we'll be getting into all of that stuff, as well as PLL with some of the great news in there and some strange things going on in there too. Some weird scores. But just before we get rolling, as always, just a few things for the network, and just a reminder that all of our shows are streamed live across Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, and you catch all the action on EOPsports.com. Remember to hit the subscribe, follow, and like buttons. Always share. Tell your friends. Tell everybody. Please enjoy all of our affiliates. Patterson Avenue Fanatics are back, guys, on Saturday mornings. Great show. Love watching that. And, of course, Steel Steps, though they weren't on this past week, they're back every Friday night. Well, all the WWE guys were here in Toronto, so maybe I should have gone to a few of those things. There's always NXT tonight. Whoops, I'll be in Coburg. Sorry. If you missed the show, no worries. Grab all the podcasts and all the major podcasting companies, which include Amazon, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, and so much more. You can also go to the YouTube page of EOP at EOP Sports and catch all of the library. Or if you're looking for our stuff in particular, please head on over to our YouTube page at All Across All the Time, where you'll find our library of shows, interviews, press conferences, a lot of retro games, a lot of other stuff, fights and other things from way back. So please give it a look. Remember, you can stay up to date with all sports by visiting EOPsports.com with great articles from our huge staff of contributors. While you're there, please subscribe to our weekly newsletter. Now, we talked about Happy Canada Day back last week, and that was over on Monday. Of course, to all the American fans out there, happy July 4th from all of us here at All Across All the Time. I hope you had a safe one. Hope you had a good one. Hope you're still having fun. But happy Independence Day to y'all. As I mentioned, the McDougall tournament is done, but upcoming, we still have the Fan Cup, which is in 2 weeks, which will be over just on the other side of New Jersey, about a 20-minute drive from Cherry Hill. It should be a whole lot of fun. Lots of great players and lots of great times. Win or lose, we drink to booze, so you can catch a lot of good. There's a liquor strike over here in Ontario. The LCBO went on strike. Nobody cared because we can get stuff out everywhere else. So it's not like it used to be, where people would be slamming on the doors. Hey, man. So, and all the bars still have booze, so nobody seems too concerned. Enjoy your summer, guys. But yeah, so win or lose, drink to booze. We'll have to buy it from the U.S. and bring it back up. So if you see me on that corner with a little street sign there, you'll know why. Anyways, upcoming, we got the Gales Picnic, July 27th. That is over at the Tyrone Community Center at 2716 Concession Road in Tyrone, which is just outside of Bowmanville. 1 till 4, you can get everything there. You're going to see alumni, bouncy castles for Mike, a lot of barbecuing, and lots of stuff for the kids to do as well. So please give it a look if you're in the area, by all means. The Brooklyn Lacrosse Club and the Merchants have their first annual golf tournament on July 22nd at Wolf Run Golf Club. Contact Gavin at sbis.ca for information or to pay. Sponsorships opportunities available. $300 per hole, $1,000 per golf cart. Lunch or dinner sponsors, prize donations also greatly appreciated. What's included is a round of golf and cart, lunch and dinner, and prizes to be won. Check-in is at 10 a.m., shotgun 11 a.m., scramble format. So give it a shot. It's a lot of fun. I had mentioned also the lacrossing barriers camps are underway now. The first one, of course, is going on. August 6th to 9th and August 26th to 30th are the next ones. Please email Scott at lacrossingbarriers.org for information. Inclusive camps, well needed all over the place. I was actually talking with Ernie Elliman on Thursday when I was in Peterborough. I'm going to get him on the other show in a couple of weeks' time. We're going to talk about the Special Olympics in Peterborough and all the work he's doing. Former Mann Cup winner, former goaltender for Peterborough as well. So should be an interesting time. While I was in Peterborough, of course, I had Johnny Davis sign a jersey for me. Happens to be this one over here from his 1974 Montreal Quebecois days. Just awesome that we finally got Johnny signing it for me. So
awesome.
Yeah. Took everybody down memory lane on that one up in the pub there in Sticks. So it was a lot of fun reliving a little bit of that era, surfaces and all the other things. Talking with John Grant Sr. about the surfaces, and it was wooden floors in that first year. And where it changed was Ed Tepper, then owner of the Philadelphia Wings, came up to Toronto with Ed Snyder, owner of the Philadelphia Flyers, and they watched an indoor soccer event in '74 at Maple Leaf Gardens, and they used the turf. And Tepper went, God, I got to get that turf. And next thing you know it, you have turf. Now, better for the players, yes, and the knees. But as John Grant said, the one thing that people, our attendance dropped off because people started going, what's missing from the game? Well, on the wood, thump, 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 the ball and everything else and the running. And, well, it then became silent with the carpet. So, some people yay for it, some people nay for it. But that is the beginnings of how you see turf in lacrosse today. And a lot of guys' knees will thank you for it unless you slide across that turf and have a lot of rug burn. But hey, we can't have everything. But it was a lot of fun up in Peter. Great to see a whole bunch of alumni again, and a great time all around, as well as a pretty good game too. Lakers looked like old Lakers at that time against Coburg, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Again, like I mentioned, we're at the McDougall Memorial last night, and it's a great bunch of guys. Over front and center is John Tavares, who is captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs hockey team. And they partnered up this year with his charity. So a lot of money going to a lot of really good causes. A lot of money was raised. I was able to get a Jordan McIntosh bobblehead for my collection, which was nice, as well as the beautiful Buzz towel that's over my shoulder from their Fan Appreciation Day. So some great McDougall artwork, because if you remember, he did a lot of the artwork for all the sports over the years, as well as being involved heavily in minor lacrosse. So the junior game was great, and a busy day yesterday at track, and another successful McDougall Memorial. I'm looking forward to doing it all again next year. So, alrighty, a few bits of news for us. The Hall of Fame is going to induct Gavin Prout and Jennifer Johnson of Whitby. And prior to Wednesday's game, they had a little ceremony for the two of them. Great to see the recognition. The Toronto Rock Athletic Center has announced their coaching for the Canadian box, and just a who's who. You've got Connor Busick from Cornell. Take a look at the names on there. Jason Rebs, Nick Rudge from Nipissing, Brad MacArthur, Merrick Thompson, Greg McDonald, just to name a few. Just a who's who. So if you're looking at what to do this summer, there's a good spot to drop by in and catch stuff this summer. A few signings and re-signings. San Diego made a few bits of news this week, re-signing Jordan Hall, as well as Cam Woods, both the 2-year contracts. They also signed Matt Wright. Now, a little bit about Matt. from Oakville, Ontario. But he played 4 years with North Carolina, spent his fifth at Syracuse. He went to the Hill, of course, under Brody Merrill, was ranked sixth overall, recruiting and 15th defenseman for the class of 2019. His accolades at Syracuse, he played in 15 games as a long stick midfielder. He missed the final 3 games due to an upper body injury, but collected 17 ground balls, including multiple ground balls in 5 games. Season high of 3 at North Carolina on April 13th. Just an absolute fantastic defenseman. Obviously, the Seals are gearing towards A, getting younger, and B, getting some strong defense out there. So Colorado made some news also. Connor Kelly has re-signed with them. That's about it for news, guys. Not a busy week, but we are coming upon in a couple of weeks' time free agency. And there's going to be a pile of movement. You can just feel it. Things are too silent right now. So here we go. Everybody's on their vacations right now. So, I saw pictures of Colton Watkinson over in Italy. So obviously he won't be playing this week. But it's been fun watching a little bit of movement of guys doing both senior A and senior B. I just saw Cam Milligan Thursday in Peterborough playing for the Lakers, and then he was playing for Hamilton yesterday. And we'll get into that when we talk about Ontario Series lacrosse and a stunner in there as well. So let's get right onto it in a second. But just before we get into all of our recaps and all of our leagues, just a reminder that this part of the show is brought to you by Sherry's Tickets.
Great moments don't just happen, they happen with you in the crowd. Sherry'sTickets.com is easy to use and has no hidden fees. The price you see is the price you pay. Pay less, play more with Sherry'sTickets.com and get the tickets you want. Save even more by using the exclusive promo code EOP10 and share an experience that will live on. Don't pay hidden fees and save 10%. Why use any other ticket reseller and get those hard to come by tickets to the big game? If you need a more personal touch, give them a call at 610-494-5050. Sherry'sTickets.com also has great theater and concert tickets that are hard to get your hands on. Remember, don't overpay with the rest and save with the best at Sherry'sTickets.com. For that next great moment, save 10% by using the promo code EOP10. Great moments start at Sherry'sTickets.com.
Absolutely. And Shawn, we're going to head on over to the West for some Junior A action and a lot of things going on.
Yeah, we'll start off with the BC Junior A, and even before we get to the action, their trade deadline came up on Monday, actually, and one really, really big move. Cody Malosky, of course, Kurt Malosky's son, big-time name. He got traded back to the Coquitlam Adenacks. So his playing rights were with Langley. Langley's winless right now, so they're pretty much done. The Adnacks are making a run for that Minto Cup now, because his rights will revert back to Langley after the Minto Cup. So it's one of those ones where they're stacking up.
The rich get richer.
Yep, exactly. Because we're getting right down to the wire here in BC. On Tuesday, Victoria picked up an 11-6 win over Delta. Burnaby was over New Westminster 13-10. Wednesday, only one game on the slate again. Coquitlam, the 10-7 win over Burnaby. Thursday, again, that struggling Langley team. They lost 12-8 to Delta. Friday, again, Coquitlam picked up another win, 10-7 over Port Coquitlam. And then yesterday we had Nanaimo defeating New Westminster 11-9. This afternoon, obviously, we have a couple of games still to happen. Coquitlam is taking on Victoria, and Nanaimo is taking on Langley. And then we head into our final week of the regular season in BC. So on Tuesday, you'll have Nanaimo against Victoria and Delta against New Westminster. Thursday, you'll have Port Coquitlam against Langley. Friday, Delta against Coquitlam, and then you wrap up the regular season with Burnaby against Nanaimo and Port Coquitlam against Delta. So, looking at the standings, you have Coquitlam heading in this final week. You know now they will be the number 1 seed at 13-3. They're at 26 points. Next closest is Port Coquitlam Saints at 10-5-1. So they're at 21 points. They can't catch them heading into this final week. But it's a bit of a log jam from there. Nanaimo Timbermen, they're 10-5. So they're right on Port Coquitlam's tail there for second. Burnaby Lakers, 9-7-1. Victoria Shamrocks are 8-8. New Westminster Salmon Bellies are 8-9. Delta Islanders are 5-10. So it looks like they're probably going to struggle to make the playoffs, as well as Langley's pretty much they have been eliminated at this point at 0-16. Over to the Rocky Mountain Lacrosse League in Alberta, and their Junior A. They are in their final week of regular season play. On Friday night, we had the Okotoks Raiders taking a 10-9 win over the Calgary Mounties. And we had a couple games Saturday night. We don't have final scores yet. That's the Mounties and Raiders with them. It's kind of back-to-back nights, home and home series. And then we had the Saskatchewan SWAT against the Edmonton Miners. And one game this afternoon in Alberta. We have the Edmonton Miners and the Saskatchewan SWAT going at it again. So taking a quick look at their standings. Again, we have the Edmonton Miners at 11-2. Okotoks Raiders are right on their tail, though. So, I mean, there's depending on kind of the outcome of these last few games, they're at 10-14, so they're only a couple points behind. You have the Calgary Mounties, they're at 6-8, and then Saskatchewan SWAT at 0-13.
All right, thanks. Now, we had a game last week that we all kind of scratched our heads on that was, I think it was 3-1 was the score, and then there's no scoring in there. And, of course, looking for clarification of what happened. Well, the Mimico Mountaineers versus the Brampton Excelsiors game was postponed due to unsafe playing conditions. It has been rescheduled. They're into their final week this week, so it'll be played this week. But, the Mimico Arena, it is a fairly old barn, so it didn't meet up with standards, and player safety is first and foremost. So that was canceled and pushed a week ahead. So no biggie. It'll be played this week. Looking at last week's scores on Canada Day, there was a couple of games, actually. One game. You had the Mimico Mountaineers heading over to Burlington, and, well, it was over from right from the drop. Mimico beat them 18-9, up 5-1 after one, up 11-4 after two, and then it was just kind of sailing along after that. 18-9 was your final, and that one, Mimico's making a real play at Orangeville. As you know, Orangeville, of course, sitting atop the standings. Kitchener and Whitby played on Tuesday, and Kitchener came out on top 11-8. Great game there. It's a great game. Right down to the wire. On Tuesday as well, Six Nations and Oakville played, and it was 8-7 Oakville, and it took a 3-goal third from Oakville for them to pull out this come-from-behind win, shutting down Six Nations altogether in the third. So they're ramping up as well. Brampton and Mimico played a big one on Wednesday. Again, very close to each other in the standings. And Brampton pulled this one out in overtime, 10-9. A really great game. This playoff is going to be really interesting because there isn't really, unlike last year where it just looked like Orangeville was going to walk over everybody, and they did, until, of course, Burlington hit them up in the finals. But boy, oh boy, this is going to be an exciting one down the stretch. Whitby played Burlington, and they came away with an 11-7 win on Wednesday as well. Moving into Thursday, Peterborough played Oakville in Oakville for a 10-5 victory. And we just talked about it. Here was the surprise of the week. St. Catharines beat Orangeville 11-8. That was one that I wouldn't have expected, even with a spread. But hey, that's why we play the games. Burlington came back from their defeat earlier in the week and beat Kitchener 16-7. And Orangeville came back the next night and beat Six Nations 13-10. Mimico had a rough one on Friday, playing the Toronto Beaches 14-4 for the Beaches. Another one where this game was over. It was 11-2 after 2. And then it just kind of petered down. The Lakers, they played Brampton. And again, Brampton just comes off this fantastic win. And Peterborough comes in and stomps them 12-3. So, the parity in the league is just wild. Moving into Saturday, and the over at the McDougall tournament, the battle of Burlington-Oakville. Burlington comes out in overtime 8-7. Just an absolute gem of a game for two teams that are really, really pushing to try and do something big in the playoffs. Whitby wound up playing St. Catharines in the evening, and it was 9-5 for Whitby. Upcoming, we got a busy slate today. We got Kitchener against Mimico over in the Mimico Arena in the evening. Brampton playing Six Nations. Tomorrow, you've got Oakville against the Beaches, St. Catharines against Burlington, Orangeville against Peterborough. Tuesday, you've got Peterborough and Whitby. You've got that makeup game of Brampton and Mimico. And Wednesday, Brampton is playing Orangeville. Mimico is playing Six Nations to end out the season. Let me see if I can just get the standings up here. And here they are. So we look, Orangeville is sitting up top at 15-3. Peterborough now is sitting in second at 11-7. Brampton and Mimico sitting at 10-7 each. That's where that game was huge. Burlington sitting in fifth at 10-9. Whitby at 9-10. St. Catharines 9-10. Beaches 8-11. Boy, oh boy, that 8-game penalty really comes into play, doesn't it? Kitchener 7-12, right on the heels. It's going to be an interesting week this week for final jostling positions. Six Nations 7-11, and Oakville at 5-14. And it's going to be a really, really interesting week, I think. Junior looking fantastic. It's going to be interesting with a lot of these guys up in the draft. It's not pegged to be one of the biggest drafts like the last few through the COVID years and that. But I'm telling you, there's still a number of gems, diamonds in the rough, if you will, that will go very quickly. And let's see what Philadelphia and let's see what Toronto have in store for us, who haven't been big pickers in these drafts over the last number of years. So we'll see what they have in store for us. Maybe a few surprises along the way too. We're just going to get to another ad, and then we'll be back with Senior A. This part brought to you by Philly Sports Trips.
If you're a Philly sports fan and you want to travel with your favorite team, then travel with the best. If you want to travel with the pros, then go to phillysportstrips.com. Philly Sports Trips features premium travel and tailgating experiences for the best fans ever the Philadelphia sports fan. Philly Sports Trips has self-travel packages and full travel packages available with round-trip flights for Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, and even the Union. They even offer day trips for more local games. Go to phillysportstrips.com, sign up immediately, and tell them EOP sent you. Do not forget, Philly Sports Trips has all the away trips for the Eagles' upcoming 2024 season, including the Brazil trip week 1. Jump on it now before you lose out on all these great opportunities. Go to phillysportstrips.com and don't miss the next great Philly sports moment.
Absolutely. Now we're going into Ontario Series Lacrosse, and we're in the middle of it. Believe it or not, we have another week to go after this one. But our first game actually was on Thursday, and we had, if I can find it here, we had Brooklyn against Ennismore, and this was actually a very close game, believe it or not. Heading into the third period, and all of a sudden, as Brooklyn has been doing all year, Brooklyn puts it into another gear in the third, and all of a sudden, it's not a close game. But it was 6-5 after the first for the James gang. And all of a sudden, bang, 11-6 with a whole bunch of goals coming out of the blue. 13-8 was your final for Brooklyn. Moving over to yesterday, we had a little bit of a shocker. And Hamilton and Clearview. And I like the Clearview team. I think they have a lot of upside, and they've had some just heartbreaking one-goal losses to Brooklyn and a few other teams. Otherwise, they should be over 500. Hamilton has been riding the wave lately, and they've had a resurgence. They've been 4-1-1 in their last 6 games. They were in a dogfight right from the beginning. Down 6-2. The Bengals mounted a comeback in the first, bringing it to 6-5. Clearview took a 2-goal lead into the second, then Hamilton came to life. In the third period, Clearview again battled all the way back to tie 12-12, but a span of 2 minutes and 45 seconds at the end of the game, and Clearview comes away with a 15-12 victory. Hamilton comes away with a 15-12 victory. Now, one of the things of note, I had mentioned earlier that Cam Milligan, who was playing for the Lakers in MSL, he was playing for Hamilton. He had a goal and 6 assists in this game. But the big scorers was Shane Hallowell, who was your first star in the game with 4 goals in the game. Vern Hill had 3 goals and 2 assists in this game. Gareth Hay had 3 or 4 goals for Clearview, but a heck of a game still. We got a couple of games going on today, and that will be Owen Sound and Brooklyn are facing each other at 6 o'clock, and you have Hamilton and Clearview in a rematch at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So if you're anywhere in the either Stayner area in Ontario, or if you're in the Brooklyn area, Whitby area in Ontario, head on into these games. Excellent lacrosse, and again, not expensive, and a lot of the future you're going to be seeing in these games. But that covers it, and a few games upcoming. 1 more week left, and that's next weekend, where you have Hamilton at Brooklyn on Friday, Six Nations in Owen Sound Saturday, as well as Brooklyn playing Clearview in Clearview on Saturday, Stayner. And on Sunday, you have Ennismore playing Clearview, as well as Hamilton playing Owen Sound. And that will cover the season, and then it'll be into playoffs. So down to the stretch here. Very, very close in the standings. Still waiting on a couple of games again this weekend, of course. But nothing is updated on their site rate, which is unfortunate. But hey, all in good time. Brooklyn is just knocking it out of the park with Six Nations behind them. Of course, you've got Hamilton, and then you have a dogfight for that 4th spot between Ennismore, who's looked good recently, Owen Sound, who's been middle of the road, and of course Clearview, who is hitting on a little bit of hard times recently, but getting there. Moving across over to the Western Lacrosse Association, gentlemen. This, I think, was your busiest week of the year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Ink is still going.
It's still going. Yeah, it's still not finished this week.
A couple of games today still, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. But why don't we pick it up from, I guess last weekend.
There actually wasn't anything. It was
Yep.
It was a short week last week, so we had everything covered.
Game was Tuesday.
So.
Alrighty. Well, let's head to 2 ties in a row, shall we?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I
we'll
guess
start off with the Lakers Timbermans game on Tuesday, which finished 9-9.
Bit of a crazy game. Nanaimo jumped out to a 4-1 lead after the first period, and then roles kind of reversed in the second. So Burnaby was able to come back to tie it up. Then in the third, actually the Lakers had a 2-goal lead heading into kind of the dying minutes, but Colton Lindstone scored at 14-17. And then John Phillips had a power play marker with about 36 seconds left in the game to tie it up, to send the game into overtime. And, well, nothing was solved in overtime. So, as we're saying how tight these standings are, the tie doesn't really help matters too much in this case. Big game by Ben McDonald for Burnaby. He had 5 goals and 2 assists. Jason Knox had a pair of goals and 4 assists for the Timbermen. Taggart Clark had a goal and 4 assists. The goaltender saw a lot of rubber. Keegan Malinichuk for Burnaby. He stopped 54-63 shots in the tie. Well, again, Colby Bowman has been playing quite well for Nanaimo. He stopped 46 of 55 shots in the tie.
Excellent. Now we had our next tie on Wednesday, and it's the Adnex against the Thunder.
Yeah, 2 nights in a row. Langley gets out to a 3-0 lead first half of the first period, and then Coquitlam goes on a 7-goal run into late into the second period to take a 7-3 lead, and Langley battles back, actually retakes the lead 8-7 from late in the second to late in the third with a 5-goal run, and then Clark Walter with an extra attacker ties it up with about 2.5 minutes left, and they go to overtime, and nothing gets solved either in this one. So 8-8 is your tie. Tyler for Coquitlam, Tyler Kirkby had a goal and 6 assists. Clark Walter had 3 and 2. Chase McIntyre 2 and 1. Andrew Gallant had 44 saves. For Langley, Chase Scanlon, hat trick and 2 assists. Charles Scanlon had a goal and an assist. Nathaniel Kozevnikov, goal and an assist. Aiden Walsh, 39 saves. And Matt Abbott, 15 of 20 at the faceoff dot for Langley.
All right. That brings us over to Thursday in July 4th. And the Berards and the Salmon Bellies. And now I can say it, Mike. What's going on with the Salmon Bellies?
I'll let Shawn take it away, but I think the problem is they're not always dressing their A team.
That and I think they're relying heavily on Will Malcolm, and I mean, it's tough if they can just key in on one guy. It's difficult, and just in this particular match too. I mean, not so much New West, but I mean Brandon Humphrey for the Berards has just been outstanding.
All season really.
Year.
That they're only 500, but I mean he has kept.
I mean the Salmon Bellies outshot Maple Ridge 54-45, and Humphrey made 48 saves for the win, so he stood on his head.
Absolutely.
But even that, I mean, New West had a 4-1 lead after the first, and just the Berards just kind of kept chipping away. It was actually 6-4 for New West heading into the third period. Then they just got shut out. I mean, again, talking about Humphrey, he had 22 shots on him in the third period, no goals. Well, the Burrards went on a 6-goal run to win it. Statistic-wise, Marcus Klarich, let me just get this up here. He had 2 goals and 4 assists. You got a goal and 2 assists from Ryan Jones for Maple Ridge. And again, the Salmon Bellies, you look at, they had Will Malcolm had the hat trick and 1 goal. Jake Govett, a goal and 3 assists. Tyson Gibson, a goal and 2 assists, and just kind of tapers off from there. I mean, they've gotten some production out of Austin Ducommon a bit, but as we kind of go through the week, you'll see that there's just this heavy reliance on Will Malcolm.
Absolutely. Just interesting games though. Like that, would not expect that. But hey,
Yeah, and that's actually their that's actually Maple Ridge's second win over New West this year. They handed them, I think, their first loss of the season earlier in the year.
right.
So
and didn't get any better for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, for Maple Ridge, I mean, the rest of their we'll talk soon about their their second game, and they have a third game tonight. But
yeah, they're on
the rest
fire.
of
Really.
The rest. I mean, they're 6-6 now, which we'll get to shortly, and the rest of their schedule was favorable. They've already played Victoria 3 times. They went 0-3 against them, but they were not blowout games. They lost 6-5, 10-5, 10-6. So, holding the top team in the league to just barely double-digit goals in 2 games and nearly upsetting them early in the season.
Sure.
And now they're 2-0 against New West. So, I mean, they've got 6 games left, and only 1 is against one of the top 2 teams in the league.
Yeah.
Right.
I was going to add too, it's been a bit of a topsy-turvy year, because if you maybe take away some of the Victoria's statistics, it's not big names that are on the top of the leaders when it comes to points and stuff like that. We're talking about Brandon Humphrey. He's not a household name. Marcus Klarich, again, not a household name that you recognize from like NLL fame. Like, you're getting kind of that production this year out of, for lack of a better term, no names. I mean, they're not nobodies, but they're not your typical guys you would expect.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, to say the Salmon Bellies, their luck didn't get any better the next night, though it looked like it was for the longest point in this game.
Yeah, they gave the Shamrocks a bit of a scare. The Shamrocks remain undefeated with a 15-13 win, but New West did not make it easy on them at all.
This is the life they should have had in the game before.
Yeah,
that would have put a W in their belt, I think.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Victoria did have a slim 5-4 lead after the first. After the second, it was actually New West that was ahead 10-9. So the Shamrocks actually had to play some catch up in order to win this one. But between late the second and into the third, I mean, they went on a 5-goal run. And what you say, I mean, great teams find ways to win, right? And that's what they did. They went up 13-10 at that point. New West pushed back, though. I mean, they got goals from Spencer Vanderberg and Amshar Umbides. And, I mean, it's a 1-goal game. They traded a couple of goals. New West pulled their goaltender to get the extra attacker, but Dallas Wade kind of put the empty netter in to kind of seal the deal. We're talking about how they're kind of relying on Will Malcolm. 5 goals and 5 assists for 10 points. So Will Malcolm was in for 10 of those 13 goals.
Right.
Yeah, definitely carrying the load.
Yeah. I think we kind of need to see a little bit more out of others. Grant, to be fair, I mean, Logan Schuss had 4 goals in this game. So again, now 9 of your goals are coming from two guys.
Absolutely. So we had another game on Friday night, and that was the Burrards facing the Lakers. And, well, Burrards again, adding to their totals.
Yeah, big second period, outscoring Burnaby 8-3, winning 13-9. Their second win of the week, and they have, like I said, they have 3 games this week. They play a third game this week tonight. So, but again, some of the guys that Shawn was talking about, Marcus Claridge, 4 goals, 4 assists. Dylan McIntosh, a goal and 6 assists. Ryan Jones, 2 and 3. Garrett Winter had a hat trick and an assist. Humphrey again, 53 saves on 62 Burnaby shots. So, Burnaby is now they're in last place. They're 0-5-1 in their last 6, but the thing that stands out to me with the Lakers is, their top 4 guys are consistently showing up and putting up points, and that's Jacob Dunbar, Ben McDonald, Thomas Vela, and Ben Stewart. I mean, that's a really good core, and hopefully the Lakers can kind of keep them together for a few years. Dunbar had 4 goals and 2 assists. Ben McDonald 2 and 2. Thomas Vela had 2 and 2, and Stewart had 1 and 2. Gordy Phillips went 23 of 25 on faceoffs for the game. So definitely makes the loss a little tougher to swallow for Burnaby when they dominated at the dot, outshot Maple Ridge 62-45, and still came out on the losing end.
Mm-hmm.
So, but, again, 3-6-1, but they really are only a couple of games still out of a possible playoff spot.
Yeah.
With a third of the season left to play.
Right. We had one more game, and that was last night, and my Shamrocks flew out over the Adirondack.
Holding on again. They beat Coquitlam.
Doesn't matter how you win, as long as you win.
Yep. They beat Coquitlam 12-8 in Coquitlam. This time it was Matthew Gauthier with 4 goals for the Shamrocks. Patrick Dodds 2 and 2. Marshall King and Casey Wilson each had a goal and 3 assists. Chris Wardle had 3 assists. Chris Aguilera got the start in net for Victoria, 34 saves in the win. For Coquitlam, Adam Noakes 2 and 2. Chase McIntyre had 2 goals and an assist. Clark Walter had a goal. Tyler Kirkby 3 assists, and Andrew Gallant 36 saves.
Alrighty, we got a couple of games tonight. We have the Adnacks in at the Burrards at 10 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. Pacific, depending where you're at. And we have the Langley Thunder against Nanaimo at again 10 p.m. Eastern or 7 p.m. Pacific, depending where you are in the world. Some big games and a lot to do with the standings in there.
Yeah. A chance to really muddle things up. If certainly if Nanaimo and Coquitlam can pull off wins, it'll really tighten things up in the standings.
Well, yeah, I was going to say that's more my question more than what's wrong with the Sandbells is what's wrong with Nanaimo, because I mean this is a team we're used to seeing at the top of the standings, and they're just clawing right now to get into the playoffs.
Right. Well, before we look at the rest of the games for next week, let's take a look at the standings. And as you can see, the Shamrocks are there at 11-0.
It's a little crazy below first place. So
yeah,
the goal differential is the one that gets me. That's wild now.
Yeah, and as you can see, I mean the other thing,
49 plus 49.
Yeah,
pretty
I
wild.
mean, and the other thing I'd point out about Maple Ridge is they're doing all this, and look at their penalty minutes. They're leading the league in penalty minutes.
Yeah,
but they're still in second place. So, imagine if they kind of clean things up, and conversely, it's you look at
they've
Burnaby.
switched positions with the Salmon Bellies entirely. They've as they've gotten on win streaks, the Salmon Bellies have dropped 4 in a row. So that's unheard of. That I haven't seen in a couple of years. the last time I was, belly aching about what's wrong with the Salmon Bellies.
Yeah, and seeing that has to be tough for Burnaby to swallow too, because you look at them in last place right now, and they have the most disciplined play of anyone in the league, with only 122 penalty minutes committed. So, but they got into they got into a fair amount of penalty trouble in that game against Coquitlam too. So,
but then that's the funny thing; they're only 2 games back at third place.
Yeah,
that logjam for the 4th spot is just is wild.
Yeah,
right. It's actually 2 through 7 is all within grasp. But just for argument's sake, the bottom 4 to try and get that 1 spot is going to be a dogfight the rest of the way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I wouldn't consider New West safe either. I mean, I think so 11 games, so they got 7 left, but I think they have 1 more against Maple Ridge, 1 more against Victoria. So, it's not going to be an easy road for any of these teams.
Well, that's the funny thing. I keep thinking, like, is there any team right now that could hand Victoria their first loss?
Right.
I don't know. I don't see it, actually.
Unless Victoria takes a night off, which is...
unless they sit guys the final, game or 2 of the season once they got everything locked up.
And so looking at the upcoming games, we are talked about the 2 today. You got the Burrards at the Lakers on Tuesday. Shamrocks versus the Timbermen on Wednesday. Salmon Bellies and Thunder. I didn't think this was going to be a big game, but all of a sudden it becomes a very big game on Thursday. Shamrocks Lakers on Friday. And then a pair on Saturday with the Adnax Thunder, the Timbermen against the Salmon Bellies.
That could be a big one.
Yeah. So that's going to be a huge week.
Yeah, and that Tuesday game with Maple Ridge after that game, they don't play for like 2 weeks. So there could be a lot of movement around them while they sit idle.
That's just a weird schedule, but hey, it is what it is, right? But busy time and exciting now. Because the MSL is just getting into the end of their schedule. They've got 1 more week left after got 1 more game this weekend. And if you're in the Coburg area, I'm going to be up there, and please come by and say hi. I'll be the one in the coat. Meat locker over there. Cold arena, man. Beautiful beach front out there, and then turn blue in the arena. But the beer is cold. The beer is cold there. So are the people serving it to you. But to jump on into the MSL schedule, we had a busy week this week. Lots of things going on, some strange goings on, and one of them has to do, of course, with Oakville. And, they haven't looked right since they made their deal, believe it or not. Since Nathan Grennan has gone to Coburg, Coburg's looked good, and Oakville hasn't won a game. They've dropped 4 in a row now. They dropped 2 this week. We'll get into that in a minute. But the first game I want to talk about, of course, is Tuesday, and Oakville went into Six Nations. Great night there. Decent crowd. But, really, you had Holochuk in net for Oakville, and you had Doug Jamieson in net for Six Nations. And the Chiefs got off to a humongous start. 4 goals in the first 5 minutes. We're leading 5-0. Austin Stotts with a hat trick in the first. Oakville did mount a comeback with 3 of their own, tightening up this game. But you head into the second, and again, the Chiefs get off to a good start. Rock battle back. But the combination of Stotts and Lyle Thompson just were unstoppable in this game. Troy Holochuk. He's the reason why this game wasn't 25-8 by the time it's finished. His play in the third period. Now, it looks lopsided because they lost 13-8. But his play in that third period especially was nothing short of spectacular. He was on his game. Unfortunately, the rest of the team wasn't a big help. And, playing against the all-star lineup of Six Nations between the juggernaut offense and that tightening and stifling defense. And then, of course, if you get through all that, you have either Warren Hill or Doug Jamieson to deal with. We had a long chat up in Peterborough about all this, and again, it comes down to bank accounts. The rich get richer, and the poor become farm systems. But anyways, in the third period, the Chiefs got rolling again with Noncom Thompson, Eli McLaughlin, Raymond Cortes had his first MSL goal. Lanchbury, who had 3 goals in this game, got one for Oakville to end the period, and the Chiefs won handily 13-8 in this one. We move into the Wednesday game over in Brooklyn, and another strange one here because, again, Peterborough has been, back and forth iffy this year. Nothing consistent about their play. And Brooklyn's looked great this year. But you go into this game, and, after the first, it was 2-2, Peterborough and Brooklyn, a very evenly played game. But we walk into the second, and Peterborough has been strong all year in the second, and this was another game where they were strong. And sure enough, you have Peterborough getting 4 goals unanswered, and it's 6-2 for the Lakers over Brooklyn heading into the third. Third period happens, and Peterborough gets into all kinds of penalty trouble. And Brooklyn takes advantage. And they pull it all the way back into 7-6. Just cannot get that tying goal. And that's the way the game ends. Peterborough wins 7-6, giving Brooklyn their third defeat of the year. Moving into Thursday, we had a pair of games. We had Cobourg into Peterborough, and we had Owen Sound into Brampton. And Owen Sound got their first win of the year, guys. They got off to a great start. There's 4-0 after 1. Jonathan Peshko, his name's going to come up a lot in these little broadcasts here. He had a couple of goals. Greg Elijah Brown also with a couple of goals. Curtis Woodland with a couple of goals. 4-0 after 1. Brampton makes it a game. It's 5-3 for Owen Sound after 2. Brampton brings it all the way back. And Owen Sound holds on, just clawing to the lead. They come away with a 7-6 victory for their first win of the year. Another tough one for Brampton. At this stage, they're both tied at 1-8. Rough times. The game that I was at over in Peterborough, Peterborough ramped up what they were doing in Brooklyn. And, they looked unstoppable in this game. It was 5-0 after 1. In fact, in the first couple of minutes, it was 3-0 already, basically before you even got a chance to sit down. But Peterborough made it clear they weren't playing around. Jake Weather scored just 7 seconds of the game off the faceoff, followed by Carter Page and Colton Armstrong. This is barely 2 minutes into the game. But down 5-0, the Kostiuk started to mount a comeback in the second, scoring 5 times. But Cobourg's undoing was special teams. The Lakers scored 4 power play goals in a row to end that period and take a stranglehold of the game. At that point, it was 13-5. The third saw Nathan Grennan with a couple of short-handed goals, but in between those, because he opened and closed the period with it, you had Colin Marquis and Owen Hiltz with a couple more power play goals, and Peterborough wins 15-7. It's plain to see that as long as Cobourg stays man on strength, that we don't have a problem. When they seem to get down, they give up a lot of power play goals. So if they're going to do anything, they're going to need to tighten them up. And it's funny because Cobourg always plays Peterborough tough, and this one was kind of a lunch bag letdown, as tooth and nail games go. But the 2,600 that were in Peterborough were having a hoot and holler in time. It was also really great talking with John Grant Sr. again about basically the state of the union of MSL and what needs to happen, and different thoughts and different approaches. Again, Wayne Colley's name comes up. I think that he would be a fantastic commissioner. Former GM of Brooklyn, a lot of great ideas. A man who's played it, man who's coached it, GM'd it, he should be up there because I think that he would be a little bit more of a strong arm in how this should go. And if we're looking at making this a very competitive league again and is viable for a lot of eyes to see it because some great lacrosse and great players involved, maybe we should be looking in that direction. Anyways, that brings us into yesterday. And there was a couple of games that yesterday. Brooklyn came in and faced Brampton in the afternoon yesterday. And Brampton, again, had a decent game. In fact, they were up 7-5 after 2. It took a big third period from Brooklyn in which Austin Shanks, you heard that name before? Yeah. Well, he had a couple of goals in the third. He wound up with a hat trick on the day, but 10-8 was your final for Brooklyn. Brooklyn putting 5 goals on the board in the third to take the win there. The one that got my attention, though, was Owen Sound hosting Oakville. Now, we talked already about Oakville since the trade have been winless. Well, Owen Sound now has 2 wins on the year, guys. They came and fought tooth and nail in this game. They were never trailing in this game. The game was tied 3 separate occasions, never trailing. They were up 3-1 after 1. They were up 7-5 after 2. And they come away with a 9-8 victory. Of course, the 8th goal for Oakville came with just 24 seconds left. Ryan Lansbury, who had a hat trick on the day. Him and Q had big days. Really nobody else. Alex Messier, he got his first MSL goal in this game. For the home squad Owen Sound team, Jake McNabb, he jettisoned them out to a quick 2-0 lead. Dante Koulos made it 3-0 and before long. It was just a strange game. Jonathan Peshko again with a hat trick in this one. McNabb added with a hat trick also. Just a strange game. But again, Owen Sound looking a lot tougher than we had seen them all year long. And their defenses look good the last number of games. If their offense starts to come to life, I think there could be some strange things going on since all the teams make the MSL playoffs. Obviously, the way the standings are going, it's funny because you thought that Owen Sound was destined for playing Six Nations in the first round. However, that has changed now. And if I just pull this up here, of course, Six Nations is 9-0 at the moment. Brooklyn sitting in second at 7-3. Peterborough is right on their tail now with a couple of wins this week, 6-4. Oakville has dropped way down. They're now at 500 with 4-4. They have a couple of games in hand. They've got a busy week this week. Coburg, 4-5, and they have Six Nations tonight. Owen Sound is now sitting in 6th. Them and Brooklyn are going to be a great series if that's what pans out. And Brampton, 1-9, sitting in last over there in 7th. Upcoming, as I've mentioned, today you've got Six Nations in Coburg at 6 o'clock. I will be at that game, so if you happen to see me, please come up and say hi. Love to talk lacrosse with you. Tomorrow, Oakville hosts Brooklyn, and that's going to be a big game. That's a pivotal game right there. Peterborough faces Six Nations on Tuesday, and another really important game. And the way Peterborough is playing, if anybody's going to knock Six Nations out of undefeated, this could be the squad to do it. But don't step too far away. We've got Oakville and Brooklyn in a rematch on Wednesday in Brooklyn. Brampton is going into Peterborough on Thursday. Saturday, you've got Coburg and Owen Sound. And that's going to be a big game again for Owen Sound, depending on how Brampton does against Peterborough the night before. Sunday, you've got Owen Sound in Coburg. So the repeat of home and home. Just getting a little ahead of myself. We have 2 more games left in the season after that. Brampton is into Oakville on the Monday, and then Six Nations and Oakville in the makeup game from the night that Callum Jones was hurt. And that will end the season on Tuesday, July the 16th. So some really, really pivotal stuff coming up in MSL before the playoffs hit the following week. So you want hot. There's no games to miss in this. I will be traveling around as much as I can this week, trying to catch as many games as I can. Just stick around and check us to see where I'm going to be, but all the recaps will be up as quickly as the games are over. So just a reminder that this part of the show is brought to you by Dolan's Bar.
When you're staying local and you want to watch a great game or just hang out with some great people, go to Dolan's Bar at 24 East Sellers Ave in Ridley Park, right off I-95 south of the Philadelphia airport. For over 65 years, Dolan's has thrived because of one reason: the amazing people of Philadelphia. Great music, great times, memorabilia, giveaways, great drinks, and great food. You never know when a former Philly sports icon walks through that door. You go to Dolan's at 24 East Sellers Ave, Ridley Park in the 19078. Tell PJ that EOP sent you. Go to dolansbar.com or follow them on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok.
Sue me dog, Mike. Sue me dog. I love that. But, next time around, you'll probably see him at one of the Philly sports trips. I'll be at the back, still with sunglasses on. Hang out near him, man. He's worth a lot of money.
Definitely.
All right, we're into PLL, guys, the Premier Lacrosse League. And, thank you, Daniel. Morning. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
But some strange goings on. Before we get into that, though, strange goings on is our pick'ems.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Well, there we go. Mike, your first week away from 500.
Yes.
Let's hope it's not a trend.
Yeah.
And
I might add that your league leading record there is a result of you being the only one who has not had an under 500 week to date. So
you know it's coming.
Now you've jinxed it, yeah.
That was the point, Shawn.
Is not out of my realm of possibility.
I'm not arguing with it, Mike. I'm trying to chase him down here.
We had that first game. I thought,
Yep.
But just clinging at a 500. Shawn and I at 2-2. Pat and Mike at 1-3. But Eduardo with the big week. Eduardo went 3-1 this week.
Yeah.
So that pulls a log jam with Pat, Mike, and Eduardo for third at 9-1-1, guys. 9-1-1. Call for help. Shawn at 500 and me sitting at 13-7 for the moment, but this can't last. Next week, of course, it's the All-Star break, so I'm able to sit there for one more week. But then, who knows? Who knows? Because doing this, and that only goes so far. Throwing darts at a board. But the first game we're talking about is California and Boston, and of course, I was nowhere in the realm of possibility in this one.
Yeah, so obviously being in Boston this week, it's Cannon's homecoming weekend, so first of two. And all of us picked the Cannons because why wouldn't we after the way Redwoods played last week and the way their offense
the last few weeks, really. They haven't looked good at all.
Yeah, so but they kept things close. Jack Kelly, 9 of his 13 saves in the second quarter. Really to kind of shut down the big Boston offense. Redwoods come away with a 9-7 win. Chris Gray, sort of a big coming out game for him in a Redwoods uniform, had 3 goals. Rob Pennell, goal and 2 assists. Westberg had 2 goals. Garnsey had a goal and assist. T.D. Erlin, 12-17 at the dot, 7 ground balls in the win. For Boston, Marcus Holman carrying the load with 4 goals. Asher Nolting had a goal and 3 assists. Hometown guy, Jeff Trainer, goal and an assist. Colin Kirst had 10 saves in the loss. And again, Cannon shut out 4-0 in the fourth quarter. So they were leading 7-5 after 3.
Wow.
And it's the first win of the season for Redwoods, which, again, it's huge. The playoff format's a little different, PLL, this year with the conference alignments. Pretty much top 3 teams in each conference make the playoffs, so don't end up last in your conference. So
Yeah, definitely.
That's much needed for Redwoods headed into the All-Star break to finally get out of the loss column and into the win column for the first time.
Absolutely. And then we moved to a slobber knock early. This was, I think it was over before the national anthem was over. But Atlas bounces back from a mediocre performance last week, and 17-4 is your final. And of course, who are we going to talk about when rolling? Of course, Jeff Teat.
Yeah. I wanted to. Can I just get to a secondary
Sure.
storyline before that? Liam Entenmann, his first professional start in goal for the Atlas, 14 saves and 77.8% save percentage.
Huge for a rookie debut.
Huge.
I mean, unheard of.
Oh God, yeah,
Absolutely unheard of. I mean,
and he made Denver look like a remedial team, which they are not by any stretch of the imagination.
Right.
He held them absolutely questioning everything.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I just wanted to put that out there because, I mean, much as we want to talk about Jeff Teat, I mean, you can't get lost in what Edmund did, especially as a rookie coming in as in his first start and just being dominant like that. But yeah. Jeff Teat, 6 goals, 3 assists, 44 points on the season, tying the PLL record. And we're not even at the All-Star break. We're just coming to the All-Star break. He is going to smash this record.
It's amazing what box smarts does in a big field scenario. Right? We were talking actually about this last night. And, why is it that, this kind of thing is happening? Well, of course, in the U.S., it's all field, and you're learning to, shoot big net, goalie with not a lot of equipment. This actually was Paul Rabel that brought this up beforehand. In Canada, of course, you are in tighter found situations with smaller nets and goalies with big equipment, and you're shooting at dimes. Well, you take the Canadian out of that situation and put him into the NCAA situation where now you have lots of room, big nets, goalies with no equipment, and that might as well be a soccer net because that's what it looks like after it's trying to shoot on a 4x4.
True.
And Jeff Teat's a special case because it's not just his scoring ability, and yes, of course, it's just something to behold to watch him shoot, but his vision. I remember Troy Cordingley and I talking about it, watching a junior game of his. And it was, he has a vision of Gretzky. He's able to see things before they happen in slow motion. He's able to see the entire field of what's going on and the ability at split second to make the correct choices. Well, what happens when you put all that together? You have tying the record by All-Star break, let alone the NLL records he holds. You know, the only thing that was concerning as he was coming up, of course, was his size. Well, that's not an issue anymore either. So, no, he's not 6'4", and no, he's not 240 pounds, but he's big enough, strong enough, and nimble enough. And that was the other thing that Cordingley had always said. You know, as a Gretzky, when you see things coming before they happen, you're able to just dodge enough that you never get hit flush. Hence him, knock on wood, never getting an injury.
I was gonna say, even there's one goal this game where he was literally getting hauled down, and he scored.
Yep.
He just has that ability.
And you remember when we had Curtis Conley on the show, and one of the things Curtis said was when he was playing with the Riptide, is he loved to get out there early, but not to practice, to sit on a bench and watch Jeff Teat pick a corner 50 times in a row. Love watching that kind of talent shoot.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hard work pays off. If anybody thinks it's just God-given talent, you're mistaken. That has a lot to do with it. But hard work with God-given talent puts you at a pace where Jeff Teat is at. Let's not forget that. He has put in the time in all facets. And I'm talking with his grandmother, who's still a big part of the Brampton organization. And, you know, he still gets to bed early. He still gets over to the gym because he's a coach at the Hill at 6 o'clock in the morning and does his work. So if you don't think he's putting in the work, you're crazy. It's not just resting on your laurels and trying. He probably works harder than anybody out there, and it shows. Anyways, let's get into the game, Shawn.
There's not much more to talk about this game. It was ugly. The only other stat that really stuck out to me was Chura at Baptiste was only 9 for 22.
That's a couple of games in a row. Is he hurt? I know he took a knee to the head a couple of games back, and he hasn't been right since. He was doing great in faceoffs. He took that knee, I think it was from Nardella. And ever since that point, he didn't do great after that, and he hasn't had anything worth talking about since that. So I'm wondering if he's, maybe not concussed, but on the verge, very close to it, because he's not right. This is not the Trevor Baptiste that we know from NCAA, NLL, PLL, any of that. I don't recall any stretch of games where he has been not a factor at all.
Yeah, I guess I would say if you're Atlas, sure you're concerned about it, but on the other hand, you're not concerned about it because obviously you're putting up big points anyway, and you're 5-1 going to the All-Star break. So,
I agree.
Yeah, I agree.
And
I gotta go back to the rest on your laurels, right? Like, too much. It could
there's definitely going to be that, but credit to the Atlas defense too. Brennan O'Neill, your number 1 draft pick, Graham Bundy Jr., another top draft pick, Josh Zawada, combined 0 points in this game.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you can thank the goaltender also for that.
Yeah,
having just an absolute the dream premier.
Yeah,
who could ask for more from him? And looking very comfortable at that.
That's the thing we have, especially when we have a rookie goaltender. It's just like, okay, just don't lose us the game. Like, don't let in a weak goal or something. He did more than that, way more than that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Just an absolute stunning game, though. But what a bounce back game after a very weak game where they should have won it too. And, they just couldn't sustain what they were doing every other game in the second half last week. And, to bounce back and just make an exclamation point of that was just a little sneeze in the road here.
Yeah. I was going to say it could be kind of a little bit of that like wounded dog syndrome where didn't have a great game, so now you're looking for blood.
And blood they got.
Yeah.
The outlaws are now the outcasts, the way it looks. But moving onward, we had the Archers and the Whipsnakes. And really not a surprise here. The Archers really weren't in any trouble in this game, winning 16-11 handily. Mac O'Keefe with a big game with 4 goals. Zed Williams still putting up 4 goals over for the Snakes. I'm telling you, the flow of this game was a lot better than what the score indicated. I really do think that that Maryland has a lot more to give than what they're showing. And Nardella had a good day at the dot. 18 for 29. Sisselberger did hold his own though. 11 for 28 for him. But when you get Dobson playing, the way he can play, making 15 saves in a game, 57, almost a 58% save percentage. And when Krebs is not having a game of games, 9 saves and a 40.9% save percentage, that hurts. That hurts. And really, the guys who are supposed to scoring. Connor Fields with 3 goals. Grant Ahmed had a goal, 2 assists. Now, Tom Schreiber, not really much going on there, 1 assist. But you have enough going on in that team, with O'Keefe, LeClaire, Fields, Moore, that if he's having an off day, it doesn't really much matter, does it? As for the Whipsnakes, Zed Williams had 4 goals. TJ Malone had a pair. Levi Anderson had 1. Matt Rambo had a pair. It's a balanced attack, but they need more from these guys. Poitras, he needs a little bit more. Rambo having 2 is great. Levi Anderson is supposed to be the next big thing, is he not?
Yeah.
Supposed to be the next big thing in NLL as well as PLL. And a goal and 2 assists is not the next big thing in my eyes.
True. Only a second game, though. But I guess when you stack that up against Entenmann's debut, you go, well, hey, how come everyone can't perform like that in their debut?
Well, you can put him against Schellenberger. You can put him against a bunch of these other guys who have adjusted very, very nicely. Obviously, they're keying on him. And, well, he did get off 6 shots in the game. That just means that they're not from the best of spots choice-wise of where to get your shots. But, that'll come with time. But for this team to flourish, he's got to, step it up a little bit. You can't just rely on Zed Williams. Yes, he's a linebacker, literally. And yes, he can run through just about anything and anyone. But once you get past him, and he had 13 shots on the game. So he's still taking the majority of the shots. And even though he's being keyed upon, he's just big and strong enough that he can carry 2 guys with him and still get a shot off. That's daunting, but he needs help. Imagine if you have him and somebody else of that echelon. Kind of like Teat has Schellenberger, or Teat has Aiken, or Teat. There's a bunch of guys. Last year we were talking about Teat on his own, and we saw the 2-8 record. Now he's got a good support cast. Same thing, I'm afraid, is happening with Zed Williams here. He's the guy, and then you have guys over here. There's nothing in this area over here. And I seriously think that one of these guys really needs to step up and become that guy to take pressure off, first off, and secondly, you need secondary and thirdary scoring for this to work. But again, really never in doubt. It was 10-5 at the half. It was 14-7 at the end of 3. So really the third or the fourth was just, let's just get through these 12 minutes. 16-11 is your final. And of course the Archers continue a hot start. All right, that brings us to our last game of the weekend. And that was the, Boston needed to win something, right?
Yeah. So, unfortunately, it comes at Philly's expense. Rematch from Philly's homecoming weekend. Cannons were actually trailing in the fourth 10-9. They shut out the Water Dogs 5-0 in the fourth quarter to win 14-10. The usual suspects for the Water Dogs: Kieran McArdle, 4 goals and an assist. Michael Sowers, 3 goals, 2 assists. Jack Hanna had a pair of goals. Connor Kelly had a goal and an assist. Bright spot for the Water Dogs. They finally have a face-off guy, Alex Stathakis, 13 of 24 at the dot, got 8 ground balls. Dylan Ward made 13 saves. For the Cannons, Matt Kavanaugh, 2 goals, a 2-point goal, and an assist. Marcus Holman had 2 1-point goals and a 2-point goal. Connor Kirst had a pair of goals and an assist. Asher Nolting with 3 assists. And Colin Kirst had 13 saves on the day for the Water Dogs. I'm sorry, for the Cannons.
So we kind of expected this game in the first game. I expected more out of the Whip Snakes in this one. However, I did have the Cannons picked, didn't I? No, I didn't. No, I did not. But I expected more from the Water Dogs. I really thought that they were onto something last week, and well, I was wrong.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, they had the lead going into the fourth, and just.
But a 1-4 record. Granted, it's a -3 on the plus minus.
Yeah, I mean, which is it's and it's better than the Whip Snakes, who are a game ahead of them. So it's actually a better goal differential. So
by a lot.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe they do have another game against the Whip Snakes, the second half of the season. So, that alone could be enough of a difference. If they can get one back.
Right.
Against Maryland.
But you take a look at the output for Atlas, and they have 100 goals. Now, they are far and away ahead of everybody. I think the closest one to them is 28 goals difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, that's their differential as well. But taking a look, there's only 3 teams right now that have a plus differential. That's a little scary.
Yeah, and that Archers
could only 2, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit scary. At the same point, it shows a little bit of the parity in the league, other than Alice.
Which is funny because last year there's no way we would have been talking like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it goes to the point I made to Pat a couple weeks ago. When they fell to 0-3, and I said, look. You're 0-3, but, you lost 3 1-goal games. I get their losses, but, it's a positive to take out of it. And especially when you look at the Western Conference, look what that that blowout did for Denver. Now they have a worse scoring differential than the Redwoods, who have struggled all year on offense.
Well, that blowout puts them as the worst differential in the league, right?
Yeah, so it's
a -14 will do that to you,
and it says right there, score differential's first tiebreaker. So, if you're Redwoods, not only you're happy to get your first win this week, now you're only a game behind Denver, and you have a better scoring differential than them right now, and it's the same. It's the same as Philadelphia looking at Maryland. So,
yeah. And upcoming, of course, we have the All-Star break coming up. And then we're back at her. But Denver, Philadelphia on the 19th. Remember, this is in Connecticut now, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Mike will be camping out, hopefully, at the at the
Yes,
field.
I will see what I can do.
Carolina and Maryland, that's going to be big. Both teams at 2 and 3. That's huge. The New York Atlas and Boston. Well, is Boston moving up or down? Can they hit the Atlas juggernaut? Because if their defense isn't up to it, man, this can get ugly fast.
Yeah. I mean that'll be a big one because you're talking now you're tied for first place in the Eastern Conference if the Cannons find a way to win. And if not, now you're talking about a 2-game swing. And that will be that's Atlas's 7th game. So they'll have 3 left to play. And you'll be up 2 games.
Yeah.
So,
and can California ride their victory? And now will be the litmus test against the Archers. Because if that one was just a fluke or if that one was real. And if they can upset the Archers, you'll make a believer in me again. But they're going to need everybody, all hands on deck in that one. Yeah. And well, they have the talent to do it. It's just whether they can hone it all in for 48 minutes.
Yeah,
simple. They can beat anybody. Any team in this league can beat anybody. Well, maybe not the Archers this year. But wow, the other parity for the other group of teams is pretty astounding. So it's going to be very, very interesting. All right, guys. Before we wrap up, just a reminder that this part of the show is brought to you by Cherry Injury.
If you get hurt at work, in a motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or affected by criminal law, you call David R. Cherry of the Cherry Firm. Cherry Law Firm is here to fight for you and get what you deserve. Cherry Injury Law is a dedicated, well-established personal injury law firm built on the promise of aiding the seriously injured throughout the state of Pennsylvania. If you have been seriously injured in the state of PA by the negligence of another, and if you have questions for a Westchester or media personal injury attorney, please don't hesitate to call. Call 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com. Let David R. Cherry fight for your right. And again, that number is 610-565-0300 or go to cherryinjurylaw.com.
Absolutely. Sumi Dog does. Alrighty, just a reminder to everybody, we are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we are on Instagram, we're on Thread, we are on YouTube. Please take a look. Please tell your friends. Please tell everybody. YouTube is getting more stuff on there all the time, and we're going to just keep adding to it. So please use that, subscribe to it, tell people about it. We'd love to get it as a big tool to help with all the things that we can't put on regular media. Also, don't forget eopsports.com/lacrosse for all of our articles. Everything there is archived as well. So if you're looking for anything in particular, you can easily search and find. All right. It's going to be a busy couple of weeks with MSL, WLA, and OSL. Juniors are going to be heading into playoffs real soon. And everything's heating up, man. We're in that dog day of summer thing, and we're only at the beginning of July. Pretty amazing.
Yep.
And a reminder, I'll be in Coburg this afternoon and this evening for the Coburg Six Nations game. So, again, if you're anywhere in the area, please come on in. Please come up and say hi. Love to talk to you. Last words, guys. Shawn, why don't we start with you?
All right, yeah, I'm really looking forward to this stretch run, especially out west here. Junior A's tight in that division. Similar situation WLA as well. You know, we have one team that seems to be running away with first place, but after that, it's anyone's game heading towards playoffs.
Yep. Mike, last words.
Yeah, I'll echo Shawn. I'm excited to see what goes down tonight in WLA and next week. As they kind of head for home.
Right.
And,
well, definitely, and I'm absolutely on the brink with the MSL. They're just, yes, everybody's fighting for second place, but boy, oh boy, is it ever a dogfight for second place. And I'm curious to see if there's a team that might be able to knock Six Nations off their perch before. Remember, Six Nations, I don't think has lost a regular season game in 2 years. Since they've had to rebuild, since they lost in the playoffs to Peterborough a couple of years back. They haven't lost a regular season game. So, they have one blemish on their record, and that was to who? The Coburg Kodiaks. Beat them in a playoff game and shocked all of us. I remember I was in the alumni box in Peterborough when that one came across. And I was like, huh? But yeah, so anything's possible. But curious on this final week and this final push for who's jockeying for home field position in the playoffs. and see where we're headed from there. Just a reminder, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and all that stuff. And please check us back on Facebook, because the news is always changing. We have our fingers on the pulse of the situation always. And we are up to date with everything that's all the movements, all the other things that are going on. Lots going on. We'll have the PLL All-Star Game covered as well as all the other things that are going on with summer ball. And everything will be up to the minute. So please come back to us a few times a day just to double check and make sure that you're up to date with all your news. Remember, we are the Costco of lacrosse, your one-stop shop for everything. All righty. Next week, we're back to our regular time of 9 p.m. on Sunday night. We hope you can join us. We thank you, as we do every week, for your patronage and all your support and all your kind words. It's great to go out and seeing everybody and talking with everybody. I love getting out to the arenas and just chatting it up with everybody about all kinds of lacrosse information, all kinds of different things going on, in everything from house leagues all the way on up. And it's just so much fun to see the enthusiasm and see this game growing. And you can see it. We're at that stage now where you can actually see the thing move. So it's really, really, it's heartwarming, and to see that the work is moving forward. So let's keep it going, guys. Until next week. For Shawn Slaght over in Moose Jaw, for Muffler Mike over in Connecticut, I'm Gary Groob in Toronto. We hope you have the best of weeks. And until then, keep your stick in your hands. See you next week, everybody.